Happy iPhone 15 launch day. Today is the day that all 4 iPhone 15s are officially available. And I obviously got to check it out a little bit early at the event and could kind of give you my impression. So if you missed that video, you can go ahead and click the card here in the upper right corner. But I did went ahead and pick up a few of the phones. And the one that I'm going to be using the most is the iPhone 15 Pro Max. So let's go over 5 of the best iPhone 15 Pro Max features. But also, if you're watching this and you went with the Pro model, don't worry. Most of these will apply to you as well. There's a couple of things that are Pro Max exclusives, which we'll talk about. But yeah, the iPhone 15 Pro Max, here are the 5 best features. And we'll start with number 1 being the USB-C port. That's more of a quality of life thing, particularly if you're in the car with someone who maybe has a Android phone, and any new Android phone for the most part over the last 5 or however many years have been using USB-C. So there's no way that someone's going to have a non-USB-C cable with them for the most part if that is their primary device. Or if you have a new MacBook or a new iPad that also has USB-C, you no longer have to carry multiple cables to charge your Lightning phone. You can just use the USB-C cable if you want to. Lots of little quality of life improvements that you probably won't notice on a daily basis, but when it does pop up, you'll be like, aha, I'm so glad that the iPhone has USB-C. And speaking of USB-C, you do also get faster transfer speeds. Now, for those of you who do know, all the iPhones in the lineup, 15, 15 Plus, those standard models, they do have USB-C, but what they have is USB-C 2, which is the same speeds essentially as Lightning. It was at 480 megabytes per second in transfer speeds. The Pro and the Pro Max actually have 20 times faster transfer speeds at up to 10 gigabytes per second. And so that's a huge benefit for those who are offloading, let's say, a lot of videos and files that are really large onto your computer or something. You can transfer those. And yeah, I mean, that's a huge improvement. And you can also charge other phones and accessories. You can plug in a USB-C cable and charge your AirPods. You can plug in your USB-C cable and charge another iPhone with USB-C. So that's USB-C on the new iPhone 15 Pro Max. Definitely a welcome addition, and I'm super happy that it's now across all iPhones moving forward. So the next best feature for the iPhone 15 Pro Max is more of a couple of material changes, and we'll start with the frame being updated from stainless steel to titanium, which has a number of different benefits. But most importantly, there's a couple of that I really enjoy. Number 1, I like the way it looks. I know that people are talking about the edges like starting to wear off, and they think, no, those are oil from your fingers, and that's fingerprint smudges, and you get that on the stainless steel. And I think personally it looks worse on the stainless steel, but that's just very minor. I love the way it looks, but I also love the way it feels. So with the titanium frame, you now have contoured edges, which make it feel so much better in the hands. It's kind of rounded off a little bit. It's no longer this sharp, squared off design that you had on the years past, especially with the iPhone 14 Pro Max. And also titanium is just lighter material. So holding a big phone like this honestly doesn't feel that bad. When I first picked up the iPhone 15 Pro Max and held it in my hands compared to the iPhone 14 Pro Max, I could not believe just how much lighter it was. It doesn't feel like you're actually holding a real iPhone. It honestly felt like I was holding the dummy units, which I was laughing at how comically light that felt because it just doesn't have any of the internals, but honestly, it really feels that light. It is very, very light. Should make a much more comfortable experience when having one of these larger 15 Pro Max phones. Also, there is a couple of other changes to talk about when it comes to materials. Mostly the back glass has been replaced and now actually is all one piece. It's far more repairable, which significantly lowered the prices for these phones to be repaired. So if you do not have Apple Care Plus coverage, you now only have to pay $169 for the Pro or $199 for the Pro Max to get this back glass repaired if you were to crack it. In years past, those fees were set at $499 and $549 for the Pro and the Pro Max. That's obviously saving you tons and tons of money if you don't have coverage. And now if you do have coverage, the back glass will actually only be replaced for $29. And so that is a very underrated change that I think most people who are prone to accidents will really come to appreciate, especially if you did not get Apple Care Plus. The next best feature on the Pro Max is a Pro Max exclusive. So if you have the Pro, this is not going to apply to you, but the telephoto lens has been updated to feature a 5x optical zoom, which is a 120 millimeter focal length. So it's much further. I believe in years past it was 77 millimeters. So now you have far more distance to focus optically. So when you're zooming in, you're no longer losing out on that quality up to the 120 millimeter zoom there. And so that's going to be huge, especially for portraits. You're going to get some very creamy portraits. You're going to get some really good photos being zoomed in a lot further than you normally could, again, up to 5x. So yeah, you get this new telephoto camera, larger sensor, folded tetraprism design that Apple was talking about with optical image stabilization and an autofocus 3D sensor shift module, which again, that is exclusive to the Pro Max only. And it's kind of how this new 5x optical zoom works. And it is producing some really good photos for sure. Definitely something that I think a lot of people who take a lot of photos are really going to enjoy with this camera. Just a quick honorable mention when it comes to the cameras. This does apply to both the Pro and the Pro Max, but you can take spatial video with the Pros, and I am super looking forward to that, especially if you're planning on getting an Apple Vision Pro, whether it be on release day or in the future. I think you're going to be looking forward to this too, because this gives you an instant day one feature that I think you're really going to enjoy. Take spatial videos on your phone. So if you do plan to get the Apple Vision Pro, because you're gonna be able to watch them back in that really cool like 3D style video that Apple showed off with the Apple Vision Pro, you can now take your own personal videos that way and watch them on your Apple Vision Pro headset. The next feature is obviously something you were expecting, and that is the action button. If you don't know what the action button is, it is the new button that is replacing the Ring silent switch, which this is huge because the Ring silent switch has been on the iPhone since the iPhone became the iPhone. You know, when it was first launched back in 2007, it had one of these, and now it's no longer going to have that on the 15 Pro and the Pro Max. You now get this action button, which is customizable. You can change it to a number of different settings if you want to. You can keep it at ring silent. So if you want to switch between having your phone on loud or not, you can just press down and hold, which is crucial. That's how it works. You have to press and hold it. Personally, I think the silent switch thing is something I never use, and I think it's a little boring. So I'm going to switch it to something more fun. And there's a number of different options. You can switch it to maybe being your camera button, so you can automatically launch into your camera. And Apple does give you a couple of different modes to specifically launch into. Maybe you're a huge portrait mode fan and you want to launch into that camera. You can do that by just picking that option. Or you can make it, maybe there's an accessibility feature that you need and you really want to get to quickly. You can do that. The flashlight is an option. You could set it to nothing at all. But my personal favorite, and one that I cannot wait to dive into a little bit more, and maybe we'll do a separate video on this. Let me know in the comments down below what you think. But it's the shortcuts. You can use a customizable shortcut. And I think to me, that's more useful than the action button being programmed to a shortcut on my watch for my phone, because I just feel like it's something I'm going to use a little bit more. And I cannot wait to dive into all of the possibilities that you can do on your phone using the action button and the shortcuts option. And last, but certainly not least, the A17 Pro is the new exclusive chip for the 15 Pro and Pro Max, and it gives you exclusive features. It's kind of the driving force between having USB-C 3 speeds, because it's got that controller for the USB-C speeds there. And it's also the driving force behind being able to play console level games on your iPhone. Yes, Apple spent a good part of the keynote talking about how you can play Resident Evil and Assassin's Creed, have console level gaming experience on your iPhone. And it's all due to the faster improvements to the GPU, the faster improvements to the 6-core CPU. There's now a 6-core GPU, 6-core CPU, 8 gigs of RAM for those of you who are wondering. I know that's been a question early on, but yeah, you have new beefed up internals. The A17 Pro is a driving factor behind the performance improvements there, and especially with the GPU, being able to play those games that Apple talked about is something that I cannot wait to dive into a little bit more, and it makes it one of the best features about the iPhone 15 Pro Max. And those are just 5 of the best features that I think you need to know about. But of course, if you have something that we didn't talk about or that Apple didn't really talk about that you think is like an underrated feature, would love to hear from you in the comments down below. And also just about the iPhone 15 in general, let me know your thoughts about these devices in the comments down below. This has been Dan with Mac Rumors. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you around in the next video.